the guy's hands were shaking because he was like some young guy for the commissioner's office.
Uh-huh.
His hands were like, and I remember sitting next to my agent, and I'm like, "You see his hands?" And we were both like, I mean, he was like trying to read, and his hands were like, "Oh."
AJ's so excited about the arbitration figures that are coming in. The only thing I will say is, for a sport that so often releases news at the weirdest times, thank you for making the arbitration number exchange deadline 1:00 Eastern time. So we get all of the fun numbers during our show on what people are making. And this is the one time per year that I can remind everyone that they are in arbitration and they do not get to select what kind of money they get. They're not free agents, okay? So this is on somewhat of a pay scale, and you can challenge the team and you can take them to baseball court and you can state your case. But most players nowadays say, hey, I'm here, you're here, let's meet in the middle.
Yeah, but they don't actually they're not together when they're doing these numbers. You don't get together till it's trial time.
Right, they're on the phone.
Yeah, but listen, as someone that went through this, I don't know if Kratz ever went through arbitration, but most of the time you try to make a deal, but there are also times, like I went to trial and it was a very interesting experience, and I've told the story on here many times, but I think if you really want to know what clubs think about you, you go to arbitration. If you want to know what your team really thinks about you and how the business of baseball works, go to arbitration and sit in that 5-hour, 4-hour, whatever it is, trial, loose term. I mean, it's not like life or death, and you'll see what the other team thinks about you. You'll see what other teams look for, and you'll see how you try to defend yourself. It's a very interesting process that listen, take your money, guys, if you feel like you got a good deal for you and your family. But if you're fighting for some money and you don't want to settle, go for it and enjoy the process. Don't let it bring you down.
The only thing that bothers me, Kratz, is when you see the player and the team go to arbitration over like 50 grand. We were just talking about this on Fair Territory because I was filling in today and I was on with Ken. He's like, 50 grand? If you combine what they're paying for legal fees, research, all kinds of stuff leading up to that trial, especially for both sides, you're both losing on that one. I mean, for me, I'm like, if you're getting that petty, can we just take the 50 grand and donate it to charity? Like, we're really, like, you're donating it to lawyers at that point.
I mean, 50 grand for anybody, for me, would have been a lot of money. I would have loved an extra 50 grand. But teams look at it that, you know what, they're going to see this player again. If the player is Joe Smith, not the reliever, Joe Smith, and he's going and he's arguing 50 grand, that team is going to have another Joe Smith in 4 years, another Joe Smith in 2 years after that, another Joe Smith in 3 years after that. And if they give the 50 grand now, that 50 turns into 100, which turns into 200. That's the way they look at it. And unfortunately, it's not a perfect system, but it works out. It works out.
I think they should just.
No, because first of all, I mean, I didn't have to pay 50 grand for my lawyer fees. It's my agent. That's his job. My agent does it, and the union does it. I pay them every year.
Players Association.
And whatever the club has to pay, it's their own fault.
That's what I'm saying. The club should just eat it. Because also, is the 50 grand, okay, there's precedent.
But where do you stop that number at? 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand?
Exactly.
I just know you don't stop it at 50 because I don't want to piss the player off.
But
is 50 grand worth pissing the player off?
I remember when I went to arbitration, right? I was fighting, and when I won my case, I became the highest paid player of a first-year catcher ARB eligible ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So it was a big deal. I remember Michael Weiner, who, God rest his soul, passed away from a brain tumor, should be in charge of the union right now, was in my case. And they saved my case for like one of the last ones. And I was like, why are you putting my little case? And they're like, because yours is hugely important for the future, right? Because if we win, it sets a new precedent for catchers, because catchers are still greatly underpaid.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Cool. So when I won, it was like a huge deal for the union, because then it set up guys like Russell Martin, Brian McCann, right? To say, hey, well, there's precedent for me to get this amount of money because so-and-so got it 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever the year is. So that's why this process is important for guys, every guy, for a reliever. If I'm a reliever and I'm a, left-handed reliever and I can get, let's say $4 million instead of $3 million, it sets the bar for the next left-handed reliever with numbers similar to mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing about arbitration that people don't really understand, is that it's not just about you. Yeah, you want to make your money, but it's also about setting up the future, because it raises salaries if you win. Now, if you lose, it sucks. But I won, so I was like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I mean, free agency has that effect to an extent with some players.
But they don't always line up. But arbitration is literally A to B.
Right. You make your comp, you make your case.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not a marketplace.
No.
It's a case. Free agency is a marketplace. When sometimes a pitcher says, I want what that pitcher got because I think I'm as good. And it's like, that's cool, but the market says you're not, or they don't want you right now.
Look at what, I mean, Buster, every single catcher that was not me, because I'm not, I wasn't in that realm of like playing every day my first 3 years in the big leagues. Every single catcher that goes to arbitration has AJ to thank. AJ has someone else to thank. So as a player, you have to look at it that way. Buster Posey doesn't get the contract he got without the fact that his arbitration numbers were going to skyrocket. Yes, he had a Rookie of the Year. Yes, he had World Series. Yes, he had an MVP by his first arbitration. But without those other people going ahead of him, you don't get that money, because ownership. Why would the ownership overpay for somebody? They want to pay what the market is, and that's why they argue, okay, AJ's number is this, we're 500,000 under it. People will say 500,000. AJ's one of the best players in the game. He's young. He's up and coming, because 500,000 turns into 3 million before you even know it for the next player.
Here's my problem with grocery shopping. I don't want to waste precious time in life making the trip to the store, and I've got food allergies that make my in-person experience even more of a challenge. Those problems are now gone. Introducing HungryRoot to the FT fam.
Now we can all be bougie with our own personal shopper to handle the food shopping, including recs based on what you're looking to put in your body.
Just say, hey, HungryRoot, here's what I'm looking for, and they load up your cart with personalized recommendations. And those recs keep evolving as they learn about what you're into.
You're going to love HungryRoot as much as FT does. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. Get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/FT and use code FT. That's hungryroot.com/FT, code FT, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/FT, code FT. Get after it, FT fam.
Money-wise, I mean, I think the biggest one as of right now, we'll get all of them by the time the show's done. We're not going to read them, but is Luis Arráez. He settled at $14 million. The ones that get the most money are the ones that are one step away from free agency.
Yeah, the third-year ARB eligible guys. Mm-hmm. The year before free agency.
Yeah. The two names that stood out to me that we haven't gotten word on yet are Vladdy Jr.
He's not settling. He's going to court. He's been to court the last 2 years, hasn't he?
Has he?
I think he's been. I think he has.
I think last
He
year.
has to sit there.
I know he's been at least 1 year, and he won. Didn't he win last year, or did he lose? If he lost, he's definitely going.
So he gets the double whammy of the Jays offering him a below-market extension and then also going to arbitration where they tell him how he's not good at this, that, and that. Good for him. That's really a good way to win the player.
But it also gives him more time to discuss an extension, which happens during this time. Hey, you're going to get $30 million. You want $30 million in arbitration. We'll give you this for the next 3 years, including what you're getting in arbitration, plus another 6 years because you're this old. It all goes into it. But we're talking about arbitration. I never actually went to arbitration, but if there's ever another 38-year-old catcher with 5 years of big league service time, you can thank me, because I signed a pre-tender deadline deal. So you can thank Eric Kratz for all those 38-year-olds who are going to have less than 6 years of service time.
All right, we'll find somebody. Yeah.
By the way,
somebody.
Vlad won his
There won't
case
be.
last year for 19.9.
No, they won't.
He won last year for 19.9.
Okay. And this year he's
projected
30+.
by whoever you want to look at it to make 29.
Yeah. I know MLB Trade Rumors does projections for all of them. They put him at 29.6.
29.6 this year.
Yeah.
Blue Jays got a lot of guys. Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Ernie Clement, Manoah, who's a real interesting case.
Yeah, he is.
Zach Pop and Nick Sandlin, who they just traded for.
Yeah, the Astros have a bunch too that we're waiting on. Then the one other one that I think is just funny is the Cubs trading for Kyle Tucker. And it's like, welcome to the team. I feel like a player in that case does have a little bit of leverage because he's like, do you really want me to be the savior this year and take me to court as
They
our
did it
first
when I got traded to
relationship?
the Giants. They did it to me.
I was
I
going to
know
say,
they
you did
did.
it with the Giants.
But
You know what was
everybody's
better?
different.
You know what it was actually better though for
Why?
me because I didn't know the organization, so I didn't really know the people.
Oh.
If I would have gone to arbitration with Terry Ryan and the Minnesota Twins, like that would have been way harder to sit across from Terry Ryan, the guy who drafted me, and listen to him badmouth me. But the Giants, I'm like, I don't even know y'all. I ain't been to spring training yet. I haven't done anything. Like I talked to you on the phone, met you a couple times. Hey, everything's hunky dory. That to me was what, like for Kyle Tucker, he's like, I don't know the Cubs guys.
But they don't go anymore, the big boys. Don't they send the secondary crew to do all the dirty
I don't know.
work?
I just remember sitting across from the guy
Mhm.
for the union. And first of all, there's a folder that's like, I can't, it's like as wide as this laptop, right?
Mhm.
Or this iPad. And the guy's flipping through the pages because, rebuttals and all this. And the guy's hands were shaking because he was like some young guy for the commissioner's office.
Uh-huh.
His hands were like, and I remember sitting next to my agent and I'm like, you see his hands? And we were both like, he was like trying to read and his hands were like, oh.
That's why you should have
I
gotten
was
up
like,
and
oh,
said,
baby.
You're like, he's lying, Your Honor. He's shaking his hands. He knows I'm good and I deserve this.
It was funny. It was an experience, right? But it was easier again because I was traded, so I wasn't with the team that brought me up, and there was no feelings for me other than I want to win and I want to get my money that I'm fighting for. And I'll be honest with you, with the Giants, if they would have got close to the midpoint, I would have taken it. But they didn't even get close. They didn't even. So
How far apart were you guys?
So I filed at 3.5, and they filed at 2.25, and they wouldn't go above 2.5. And I was like, what? I'm like, if you guys get to like middle, which is I don't even know,
2.8, something like that. Yeah.
If they would have got to 2.75, coming off making 190 grand, I'm like, oh, geez. So I went in like, even if I lose, I'm going from 200,000 to 2.25. I got nothing to lose here.
Yeah.
Right. And then I won. So then I'll never forget, I was in Fashion Square Mall in Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale.
Yeah.
My phone rings and I was with my agent because that's where the cart cases are. And the phone rang and it was the player. And all they do is call you. The player association calls you, goes, hey, I forget who called me. Hey, this is so-and-so from the player association. Just want you to know you won your case. All right, thank you. Click. And I was like, hey, we won. And I never forget, my agent was full Jerry Maguire. You know
Really?
my agent. In the middle of the Scottsdale Mall. In the middle of the food court going, we won. And everyone's like, what the hell? He's like, we won.
Get you
we
some
won.
Louis
That's
Vuittons.
awesome. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But it was, it's because they don't tell you why you won. They don't tell you why you lost. All you do is say you won or you lost. There's nothing else. You won, you lost, boom.
$1 million bucks, you won.
Yeah, 1.25 million I won in that.
Right.
However long.
Hey, and agencies do work really hard. They work their asses off, and there's people behind the scenes that specialize with that stuff. So when you get a dub like that, it hits.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is the good stuff. It's the one day we get to really get deep on arbitration.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.